Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my thoughts on the new Netflix movie called The Old Guard. Directed by Gina Prince Bythewood and starring Charlize Theron, Kiki Lane, among others. It's about a group of mercenary, all-centuries-old immortals with the ability to heal themselves, discover someone is onto their secret. There's another, and they must protect their freedom. And yeah, that is basically the Google synopsis there. So it's not really doing it as much credit as it could, I guess. But yeah, the movie just came out today on Friday, July 10th. And I've actually been looking forward to this one quite a bit. I gotta say right off the bat, I love Charlize Theron. I think she is one of the greatest actresses of our lifetime. Whether it's something like Atomic Blonde recently, or even as far back as something like Mighty Joe Young, right? Or something like Monster, Christina Ricci, and Reindeer Games with Ben Affleck, of all things, and of course all her incredible work in dramas and everything. I really do believe she's one of the greatest actresses I've ever seen. And she really throws herself all in when she goes into the action genre. As we've seen at the Atomic Blonde, if you watch any of her, training videos, she really gets in there, and you can tell with, how the fighting looks on film. So obviously, Charlize Theron is the leader of this group of immortals, and she is just perfect in this movie. She is seamless. She fits the role incredibly, incredibly well. She is the oldest of them, and they do really well. I mean, this is based off a comic book series, by the way, I should say that. A mini-series, I think, and they have, like, part 2 to it that's coming out right now or something. So I really do hope they make a sequel to this. And even though the movie's about 2 hours long, you can tell they haven't covered everything, but from what I've heard, it's actually a pretty faithful adaptation so far. So I really hope they do make a sequel. But as I was saying, I think Charlize Theron does a good job of portraying her characters. She's getting a little tired, basically, if you want to, simplify it like that. She's just lived too long. Maybe she's seen so much. She's sort of lost someone very, very close to her. That was one of them at one point. I really like how that's portrayed. Maybe one of those characters that maybe has a death wish, or at the same time she's worried for everyone else, because the way this thing works is, they're all immortal, but it's kind of randomized when that's actually not going to be the case, except for the new character, Kiki Lane's character, Niall. She's newer, she's younger, so chances are she's going to be lasting a while. So I think that's all pretty well handled. And Kiki Lane is pretty good, by the way. She surprised me, for such a young actress. Although I kind of question her character's necessity to the story, because I feel like we could have just seen this just purely from the perspective of Charlize Theron and her group, and it could have worked pretty much the same way. Although, again, she did surprise me with her performance, but I don't know. I just feel like it kind of took away some concentration from the group, and I feel like some exposition is basically just used for her character as a way to just get answers, what answers we did get and everything. But it's all right. She sold her place in the movie, I think, more and more as it went along. And it's funny, the way people complain about this movie. I mean, it's had a decent response so far, but it's a bit more lukewarm than I think it should be. I honestly think we're spoiled on movies these days. People say how it has, like, John Wick-style fight scenes and shootouts, which it does. And people act like that's a bad thing. They act like it's a bad thing that John Wick basically reset the bar for what good action should look like. And now that we get it consistently, it's like, we've seen this before. I mean, good action is good action. The editing is a bit choppy sometimes, I will admit. but you can tell it's not to mask poor stunt work, because the stunts and the choreography in this are really, really excellent. And again, Charlize Theron, you can tell, is doing almost all, if not all, of her own work in this. And just the angles they have, it looks really sick. There's a good amount of blood in this, so that should please fans, hopefully. Like one gripe I've heard is that you don't really see the extent of what these guys can survive. I mean, you see them get, shot, like, shooting squad style, and, things like that, riddled with bullets and everything. But you don't see what happens, when their head gets cut off, or, I guess in the comics, the character gets a good portion of his head blown off and they regenerate, so that's an example. But we don't really see that in the film, although it's implied they've survived, great things. So I'd imagine that happened at some point, but it would have been nice to see like one of them get their heads cut off or something and see what would happen, or their arm. They don't go quite that far with it for some reason, but that's like a nitpick more than anything. The story I found pretty interesting and engaging. I mean, it did not feel like a 2 hour 5-minute movie. I mean, the first time I checked the time just for the sake of it, it was like an hour and 12 minutes in, so I'd say that's pretty good. And again, the best part of it is Charlize Theron. But the Charlize Theron and the action was just really, really quite nice. And whenever they go hand to hand, or they use a sword or an axe, it's just awesome, man. And again, Charlize Theron is the highlight of it, but I was surprised all around with how solid and just enjoyable this movie actually was. I mean, it met my expectations, which are already, fairly high, so I'm pretty happy about that. I will say the villains are a bit weak in this, a bit dull. Although it ends up not really being the point of the movie, it's more so the themes of these characters' perspectives on their long lives and everything. But maybe the villains could have been a bit better. I mean, we'll see what it's like if it gets a sequel. And I haven't read the books, and I don't know if I plan to, because if they do a sequel, I'd rather just watch the movie and be surprised. And I really do think this had the makings of being a really good theatrical movie too. But hey, we got it on Netflix and we can't get anything in theaters anyway, so I'm not going to complain. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I found Charlize Theron's character really interesting. She herself, she acted her ass off, as she always does. She is such a great presence on screen, Charlize Theron is. I think she would have made a really good Captain Marvel, actually, myself. But, that ship sailed. But we still get her great movies like this, and again, pretty much anything she puts out. So, yeah, I really liked, if not loved, The Old Guard. I really hope we get some sort of follow-up. I would love this to be released on DVD and Blu-ray, because I really want this in my collection. Physical media is still a thing, people. But we probably won't. But still loved it nonetheless. Let me know what you guys thought. If I had to rate it, lowest I'd give it is like an 89% B+. But yeah, I'd probably give it between like a 90-93%. I liked it that much. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.